and it was President Reagan in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated. They lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union.
When al-Qaeda was used to start the war with the Serbs in Kosovo, they were the great allies of freedom. And then, of course, when they were busy using al-Qaeda and the Mujahideen to start a war with Russia, now that was a great act of liberty and freedom. And now McClatchy newspapers are even reporting that the head commander of the rebels in the east of Libya was trained for decades in Virginia and is CIA, and is now commanding the al-Qaeda forces. I mean, I even have Fox News headline, Anwar al-Awlaki, now #1 in al-Qaeda under bin Laden, secretly meets at the Pentagon and has dinner with the Secretary of the Army. I mean, that's Fox News, Associated Press. Al-Qaeda was created by the CIA, and there are a few low-level terrorists that operate on their own.
What is the source of the financing, according to your reporting, of these groups such as Fatah al-Islam in these camps of Nahr al-Bared, for instance? Where are they getting the money? Where are they getting the arms?
Key player are the Saudis, of course, and Bandar. What I was writing about was a sort of a private agreement that was made between the White House. We're talking about Dick Cheney and Elliot Abrams, who's one of the key aides in the White House, with Bandar, and the idea was to get support, covert support money from the Saudis to support various hardline jihadist Sunni groups, particularly in Lebanon, who would be seen in case of an actual confrontation with Hezbollah, the Shia group in the southern Lebanon, would be seen as an asset. As simple as that.
So the Sinora government, in order to counter the influence of Hezbollah in Lebanon, would be covertly, according to your reporting, funding groups like Fatah al-Islam that they're having issues with right now?
Unintended consequences, once again, yes.
And so if Saudi Arabia and the Sinora government are doing this, whether it's unintended or not, therefore it has, the United States must have something to say about it, or not?
Well, the United States was deeply involved. This was a covert operation that Bandar ran with us. And don't forget, if you remember, you know, we got into the war in Afghanistan with supporting Osama bin Laden, the Mujahideen back there in the late 1980s with Bandar. And with people like Elliot Abrams around, the idea being that the Saudis promised us they could control the jihadists. So we spent a lot of money and time, the United States in the late 1980s, using and supporting the jihadists to help us beat the Russians in Afghanistan, and they turned on us. And we have the same pattern, not as if, you know, there's any lessons learned. It's the same pattern, using the Saudis again to support jihadists, the Saudis assuring us they can control these various groups, the Salafis and others, the groups like the one that we're in, that's in contact right now in Tripoli with the government.
Sure.
There were once 300 monks here. Now there are only 10. As Islamist groups become more powerful and in places violent across the Middle East, Christian communities are diminishing, and nowhere faster than in Iraq.
In the Middle East, Iraq, Egypt or Syria, in all these places perhaps not one Christian will remain in the future because of the threats against them. There's a danger we will become like Iran and other places where Christians were all pushed out. They went to Europe and their culture and identity were lost.